Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays. Network. Hard sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Sports Network. You are watching an episode of what we call Sports Corner. Tonight, I'm actually joined by none other than Landon. So how's it going tonight, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Just got done watching that Thursday night game, which I'll tell you what, that was actually a pretty dang good game tonight.
Yeah.
All right, so before we go ahead, we start talking about the game tonight, the first thing I want to just mention really quick is about our t-shirts. So obviously we have a way you can get a free t-shirt. So if you want to get a free t-shirt, all you have to do is do like Brandon Herrera is doing right now, to where he comes up in the comments, and even Andrew Brainerd now is up in the comments and he's saying, great game. So if you want one of those t-shirts, just leave a comment, and then at the end of the month we tally up all the comments that you leave. And if you have left the most comments, you become the viewer of the month. And guess what? You win one of those awesome ASAP Networks t-shirts. All right. Now, if you cannot leave a comment because if it's too late or you're just nervous to leave a comment, there's actually another way you can actually get another shirt. And all you have to do is hit up anybody on the ASAP Network, and you can get one of those shirts simply. And the $25, that's actually not accurate. We have actually slashed those prices now. They're no longer $25. They're actually $14.99 plus shipping and handling. So hit up anybody on the network, and you can get one of those awesome ASAP Network t-shirts ASAP. All right. Well, Madison, if you want one of those t-shirts, all you got to do, just comment every show. And then if you have the most comments, guess what? You win one of those awesome shirts. All right. So now jumping into that awesome Thursday night game, one of those great divisional games. And when it always comes down to the Chargers and Raiders, you always know that these two teams, they just hate each other. And you know that. It's one of those clashes that people look forward to. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's a divisional game. It doesn't matter what division. Everybody always looks forward to these divisional games. They always are, really tight, and they always have something to do with maybe like a playoff run or something like that. And this game, really, I don't think it shot the Raiders' playoff hopes. But they're just kind of sitting there just a little bit, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have a comment on the side from Alex that actually says that Derek Carr is a bum. True or false? Well, now here's the thing on that. So I'm personally not a Raiders fan, okay? I've never been a Raiders fan. Everybody knows that I'm a huge Packers fan. But the interesting thing is I actually know a lot of Raiders fans, and a lot of them actually tell me that they're not a fan of Derek Carr. It's kind of interesting when you hear that, because one thing about Derek Carr is I feel like he's actually pretty accurate of a passer, but he seems to be gun shy at times too. And you can go back to when he actually broke his leg. That's when he became gun shy. So to answer Alex's question, I don't think he's a bum completely, but he's what you would call a game manager. All right. So Landon, what is your take on Derek Carr?
By no means is he a Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson, anybody like that. But I think he kind of sits there in the mediocre tier. I don't think he's a bum by any means. I think, he's a pretty good quarterback. And this year he's been playing pretty good. He let the Raiders beat the Chiefs this year. That's saying something. Rather, it was all. It's not all Derek Carr. Obviously, it's a team sport, but I think that just shows that he is capable of playing very well. and he might be able to lead this team to a little playoff run. We'll see.
Well, one thing I will say about tonight, though, is once Derek Carr went down with his growing injury, Mariota came in and he sparked some life into the Raiders. He really, really did. And I completely agree with Alex on that. Now, here's the interesting question. So we know that the Raiders lost today. We know that. But when you look at their next games, now, just because they lost tonight, that doesn't mean that they're out. They are going to need help. They're going to need help. They're going to have to win their remaining games and get help. But let's say Derek Carr is out. Mariota comes in, wins both of those games, plays well. What do you think happens to Derek Carr?
I think he's still the starter there. Marcus Mariota, he showed us when he played for the Titans, he's just too inconsistent. He had a pretty good game tonight. He threw an interception, but I just don't think he's the guy that can lead this team to anywhere they want to be. I think Derek Carr is the man for sure.
I think the big thing about Mariota that people don't realize with him is this guy's a true athlete. And now I know you're saying that he was inconsistent with Tennessee, which he was. I'm not denying that in any way. But because him being with Gruden, I think that Gruden can fix a lot of his problems because that's what Gruden does. He can help out. He can help out quarterbacks. Now, the big thing about Mariota too is that he can kill you in two different ways. He can throw it, and he can also run it, as you saw tonight. He is a runner. But see, let me look at Alex's question here. I didn't see it. I doubt the Ravens lose 2 of their 3 games. They have Jaguars. I completely agree with you. I'm not going to deny that. They're not going to lose to the Jags. They're probably not going to lose to the Giants, even though we know right now that the Giants' defense is playing better. But I still don't see them losing to the Giants. So I will go ahead and I'll agree with Alex. I'm not saying you're 100% accurate. Okay. Now, away from the Raiders for a second, let's jump over to the Chargers. When we talk about the Chargers, obviously we want to talk about Justin Herbert. So, Justin Herbert, he caught me out of surprise this year because me being from Oregon, I've got to see this guy play live. And I'll honestly tell you, when he was in college, I wasn't impressed. So when he came in, I'm like, man, why? Why are they so high on this guy? I don't see it. I just don't understand. But now he comes to the NFL, gets the starting job for the Chargers, and he's actually looked really, really impressive. So, Landon, what is your first thoughts on Justin Herbert?
At the beginning of the year, I thought I'm just going to basically talk about the Rookie of the Year. I think he's obviously going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year with Joe Burrow going down. I think they were the two really in the fight. He's really good. He can, he ran in the touchdown in overtime for the win. It was just a sneak, but either way, but he's just insane at throwing the ball. He can throw it downfield 50 yards, or if he needs to hit somebody at the flat, he can do that too. And I think that's what you need to do in today's NFL to be successful.
Now, Madison actually has a question that I see, really shifting away from this game for just a second, because she starts saying, should I still have hope in my Steelers? My personal thing about the Steelers, and I said this all year long, when the Steelers started 11-0 and everybody was so high on the Steelers, I did my power rankings, and I actually had the Steelers at 4. And people asked me why I had them at 4 when they were 11-0. And I was like, well, number one, I just truly did not believe in the Steelers. And that was only because really they had only played technically one good team technically, and that was when they went up against Tennessee, and Tennessee almost came back and won that game. And then I'm not going to call Washington good, but the one thing that Washington has is they have a good defense. So once they faced a good defense, that offense really, really struggled. And then they ran into Buffalo, which right now I'll tell you, Buffalo is probably the hottest team in football right now. So if you are a team in the AFC going into the playoffs, you want to be careful because this Buffalo team is playing lights out right now. So to me personally, yes, the Steelers need to be concerned about what is ahead because they're not going to lose this week. They play the Bengals on Monday night. I'm sorry, the Bengals are not going to beat them. But if the Steelers lose 2 of their final remaining 3 games, guess what? Guess who their final game is against? Their final game is against the Browns, who are right behind them, So if the Browns, the Browns are literally right there.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your thoughts on the Steelers?
I think it's time to worry for sure. They were doing really good to start, but they really, other than Tennessee, and I'm going to say Baltimore, because they surprised me Monday night. But, I'm pretty sure they only lost by 3. But it's time to worry if you're a Steelers fan, just because, the schedule, they play the Browns week 17, and then going into the playoffs, they're going to play good teams. And whenever they play good teams, it's close or they lose, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll 3 to, I just said it, the Ravens. And I feel like they just don't have a chance making it out of the second round if they make it past the first.
All right, so here's the one comment that I was just reading that Andrew actually put up. He actually put up a comment about Mariota that he says if Mariota finishes strong the rest of the season, he keeps his position as the starter. And you know what? I don't want to disagree in that, and that's simply because of the simple fact that we've heard before that Gruden is not 100% sold on Derek Carr. He's not. And so if you're Derek Carr, you do have to be worried just a little bit, because if Mariota comes out and plays really, really well, Mariota could get this starting job. He could. Now, where would Derek Carr go? That's a really good question, because there's multiple teams out there that need quarterbacks. You're looking at a Jacksonville Jaguars team that needs a quarterback. You're looking at a Chicago Bears team that needs a quarterback. Those are 2 that really, really come to mind. However, you're going to probably see the Jets and the Jags take quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah.
So I don't see him going to the Jets or Jags, but those are teams that need a quarterback. All right.
I mean, if I think a team can get their hands on Derek Carr who needs a quarterback, then they will.
Oh, they probably will. Yeah, they probably will for sure.
He's good.
So tonight it's kind of funny because you said you tuned in tonight to watch Keenan Allen because he's on your fantasy team, and we know now it's not completely Keenan Allen's fault because he did come in with a hamstring. With a bad hamstring in this game. But he had 1 catch for 17 yards. But throughout this game, they really only put him in big spots, because when your young guys are stepping up and making plays, you can't put one of your star guys out there to get injured more. So I understand what Anthony Lynn was doing. I completely get it. Now, jumping to Anthony Lynn for a second, what do you think is going to happen to Anthony Lynn? You think he's gone after this year?
I don't know. I mean, I would give it, if I was the Chargers, I'd give him 1 more year, because he's got Herbert now, and he's their set guy, it's looking like, right? So maybe give him 1 more year, and I think he should be able to get a winning season out of that team next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I would give him 1 more year to see what he can do.
He had Rivers.
Yeah, but, he was in the later – I mean, he's playing good for the Colts, right? But he wasn't really playing fantastic for the Chargers these past few years. And Justin Herbert's he's putting up record numbers for a rookie quarterback. And I think next year he could do the same thing, maybe some more.
I think Herbert is going to only grow. Like he's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. The one thing that Herbert needs to be careful for is what everybody calls that sophomore slump, because people can go through a sophomore slump. Not everybody does it. Yeah, not everybody does it though, but it's there. It's a thing.
100%. I hope not. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. With me personally, I'm not an Oregon Ducks fan. Even though I'm from Oregon, they're not my favorite team. But I like to go watch their games because my wife is a huge fan of the Ducks. So she's a Herbert fan. But like I was saying before, I've never been a huge fan. Now, Andrew's actually coming out and saying that Lynn is done. And yes, I was going to actually touch on their kicker. Thank you for that, Andrew, because tonight their kicker missed 2 more kicks. That brings it up to 9 on the season. He's leading the league in missed field goals. And so to me, it surprises me that they still have this guy kicking field goals.
Yeah, that's shocking.
9 missed field goals. At some point, you have to look at this and be like, you know what? This isn't our guy. This
At
is
least he's
not
got
our
his quarterback going for him.
Yeah, but your kickers missed 9 field goals, 3 extra points, so that's a total of 12 kicks.
Yeah,
and you're still letting this guy kick field goals.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, kicker, who cares? No, I'm just kidding. But if they had those points, it'd be different. But I don't think that's a reason to fire a coach.
No, you can't completely blame it on the kicker. But what you can look at is over the course of the last previous years, that team hasn't performed like it should.
Right. I agree. 100%.
And so it hasn't translated to wins. And so because it hasn't translated to wins, that's what the NFL is now. The NFL is, what have you done for me now? It's not like the old days to where they go, okay, we're going to keep this coach around for a long time. Because it's not the same as it was then. It's definitely completely different. So now it's, what can I get for you today? What can you do for me this year? So Madison, I think kickers have the most pressure. Okay, so here's the funny thing about kickers. People talk about pressure, and I understand that the kickers are under pressure, but when you're a kicker, you have one job.
Yeah, one job.
And that is to go out there and kick the ball through the uprights. Okay, now I'm not sitting here and telling you I can do that, because I'll tell you right now, I can't. I know it takes talent to be able to kick a ball through the uprights, and even from a long distance, like 50 yards or whatever. Yeah, that takes a lot of talent. But when they practice this day in and day out, and this is your one job, how can you go out there and miss that many times?
Yeah, there's a problem there, 100%.
And
yeah, why is he not cut? I was over here like, why? I mean, that's a lot of missed field goals.
Because I think Anthony Lynn right now is trying to get this guy's confidence back.
Right.
But at some point, the guy's confidence, it has to be way down.
Maybe a practice field's the place to do that.
To get his confidence back?
Yeah, not in a game. I mean, would you put it – okay, so say – they had to hit a field goal to win the game. Would you put out a guy who's missed 9 field goals, or would you rather put in somebody who has gone like 5 or 6 on field goals?
No, but he did that tonight, though. Like when you look at the end of the game, and when I thought that the Chargers could have won it, they had a 3rd and 1. When I'm like, okay, all you have to do is hand the ball to Eckler and you get the first down, you get a few more yards, and you kick the field goal. No, they did what the Falcons did years ago against the Patriots, and they decided to pass, and it was the same outcome. Yeah. Herbert got sacked, and now you get knocked farther back, and now you have a kicker that's been struggling all year long, and now you even put him in a worse position because his confidence is probably shot. Right. So now instead of it being a 43-yard field goal, you have a 51.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. They should have ran the ball 100%.
And with the way that Las Vegas's defense is, we know they're not good. Their defense is simply not good.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the previous weeks, when they allowed 30 points to the Jets.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That's a problem. That is a problem. So looking at this Raiders team for a second, let's say that they managed to pull off their next 2 wins, somehow sneak into the playoffs. How concerned would you be for a Raiders fan to be like, oh yeah, I think we can make it past the first round? I don't see it happening, man. If
first
you get
into the
playoff, it would basically pretty much be a first round exit, because this Raiders team is not going to be able to beat any of those teams that are going to get in right now.
I agree.
And because let's say they would slide in. So if the season were to end today and they were to even, I know they're not in the 7th seed right now, but let's say they were in the 7th seed at this point in time. If the season were to end today and they were sitting at the 7th seed, they would go into that first round and they would have to play a Buffalo Bills team.
That'd be a massacre.
And
I would not even watch that. It would be worth watching.
That would not. And so what Andrew's saying is you might as well go for draft picks now. Well, that truly depends. If you truly believe that you have a shot, and this is the thing, because I'm sure John Gruden is looking at this thinking, we have a shot. Because teams are not going to give up until they hear you're mathematically eliminated.
Right.
Teams are going to continue to try until they learn that they don't have any other shot. So the Raiders are going to try until they can't go any farther.
I mean,
Now,
yeah, especially for a coach, you want the wins. I mean, for your job, you know what I mean? Especially in the situation they're in, they want to make a playoff spot. So
yeah, but John Gruden, now keep in mind, John Gruden signed a 10-year contract, and so as a coach, that's a massive contract, though.
well, yeah, but they can fire him, right? I mean,
They could, but I think John Gruden right now is
I think he's
feeling, huh?
I think he's safe. I don't think he's
Oh,
going anywhere. But
He's safe because here's the thing. When he got the Raiders, he knew that the Raiders were a mess. They
Right.
were a mess. And so I know when ownership signed him to that 10-year deal, that the owner and the GM basically knew, hey, you know what? This is going to be a process. It's not going to be a 1 or 2 year thing, or maybe even a 3-year thing. It might be a 4-year thing. And so it's going to be a process. Now, looking at the future, I think the Raiders have a bright future. But the one thing that the Raiders need at this point in time, they need a lot of help on defense. Maybe give them 1 or 2 more weapons on offense, because I'll tell you what, Waller's a beast. That dude is a flat-out beast. He is probably – it's funny how when people talk about tight ends in the NFL, they talk about Travis Kelce, they talk about Hunter Henry, they talk about Hayden Hurst. Where's the love? Where is the love for Darren Waller?
yeah, I don't know. He's insane. Like, he is a monster. He needs to get more attention because he might be the next guy up. After Travis Kelce's had his little run, he is the next guy up. I mean, he's young.
Absolutely.
He's under 25, I'm sure. But
I would probably put him at the number 2 tight end in the NFL at this point in time.
I would too after these 2 games. I mean, he had an insane game this week and last week.
And I think what shocked me the most tonight is that as many times as the Raiders had the ball in the red zone, you would think that they would target Waller a little bit more, but they didn't. They went on Josh Jacobs. And so
he's a tight end, and he had 9 receptions. That's insane.
But most of those were in the middle of the field and from like the 50 and beyond. But he did catch one. I mean, it was a beautiful ball thrown by Mariota on that touchdown catch of Waller's. That was a beautiful, beautiful throw, beautiful catch. That's what Waller does. Like, the thing is people talk about him as a tight end, but you could line the dude up as a wide receiver. That's how talented this guy is.
Yeah.
And he's got the speed of a receiver. He's not slow.
That's what I was going to say. And he's got size over many, DB safeties in the league. He can imagine if he lined up a receiver. That'd be a cheat code.
Oh, definitely. That would definitely be a cheat code, because what I think is really, really funny about it is one of my good friends is actually a Raiders fan. And when Waller first came on the scene and started playing for the Raiders, he started having these massive games. And my buddy's like, Waller, man, this guy's a beast. And I'll be flat out honest with you. I'm like, who's Waller?
Last year's the first year I heard about him.
Yeah, because I had no idea who this guy was. And he's like, watch some highlights. And I'm like, okay, I'll watch some highlights. And then every Raiders game I watched, I'm like, man, this guy's a stud. I'm like, this guy's really, really good. And so now in my fantasy teams, I'm like, Waller's my tight end. If I can't get Kels, I'm going for Waller because this guy's going to put up points. And tonight, he killed it. I've got him on my fantasy team, and he killed it.
Thank God I had him to make up for Keenan Allen. He had 30, and Keenan Allen had like 1.
And so Andrew actually said that the Raiders missed the rookie Henry Ruggs tonight.
I want to talk about him. Okay, so you know how you
Go
said
ahead.
they had to have another weapon? I think he's the guy. Give him this year, maybe next year to develop. I think he could be an elite receiver in the league by his 3rd, 4th year.
Okay, you're talking about Ruggs, though, okay? So you have Ruggs and you have Waller.
Right.
Who else?
Josh
You can't-
Jacobs. I mean, are you talking about receiving core?
No, I'm talking about receiving-wise.
Okay.
They have a Renfro, but, I mean, come on. He's not that true weapon. They have a Aguilar. He's not a true weapon. Yeah, he's fast. He's going to be a deep threat, kind of like Ruggs. But besides Ruggs and Waller,
Yeah, I mean, you never know. They can make some moves in free agency or trades or
they're going to have
whatever.
to because they have to get more weapons.
right.
That
I
is
agree.
one thing that the Raiders lack on at this point in time is weapons.
Could you imagine if they could get a guy like, maybe like Tyler Boyd or
Ooh, Tyler Boyd.
a receiver like that? I mean, they'd be dangerous on the offensive side. Josh Jacobs is a monster as well. Imagine Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs, and who did I just say? Tyler Boyd. That'd
Yeah.
be insane.
Yeah, and it's funny too because when people talk about receivers, now this guy's I'm not going to say he's over the hill, but he's slowed down, and there's a lot of teams that really, I would say there's teams who would want him, but he's not that star power anymore like he used to be, and that's AJ Green. And we know at this point in time that the Bengals are going to probably move away from AJ Green.
Right.
He's getting up there. He can't stay healthy. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Julian Edelman, I mean, yeah, he's a slot guy. He can get you a lot of catches. But now keep in mind, Julian Edelman is also getting up there in age too.
Yeah.
So,
AJ Green would be a good 1-2 year guy just to hold maybe until a draft pick or a free agency move or
well, he can come in. Yeah.
Go ahead.
He could definitely come in and mentor
Right.
the young guys and help them. But he's not going to be a long-term answer.
Yeah, he could make Renfro a better receiver or, Aguilar. I don't know how old Nelson Aguilar is. I think I'm saying his
He's
name
young.
right.
He's young. He's young.
He's been having a pretty good year. He's kind of been slept on.
But then when you look at Julian Edelman, like Andrew's saying, because Edelman is getting up there in age too, but he can be your slot guy too that can come in and basically mentor these young guys also. But I don't think the Patriots would let Edelman go.
No.
I truly don't believe they would because right now that's their key piece on offense is Julian Edelman because outside of Julian Edelman, they have nothing.
Right.
A Jacoby Myers? I mean, really?
Right. Another name from the Patriots, since we're on that, N'Keal Harry. I think he's going to start blowing up a lot, within the next few years. He had a pretty good year last year.
He's got to get a better quarterback.
Exactly. That's the first thing they need to deal with is that quarterback position. I thought Cam Newton would be good. I'm going to be honest. Whenever they first signed, I was like, "There's the answer. They're going to be a playoff team," and we see how that went. It went terrible.
I actually have a buddy too that is actually a Patriots fan, and when this whole debacle with them trying to figure out who was going to be quarterback and he's like, man, what are we going to do? We're going to go Stidham. And I'm like, well, you'll probably end up signing somebody. And he kept saying, I want Newton. And I'm like, you don't want Newton. You do not
That's what I
want
was saying.
Newton. And he's like, yes, we do. And then they sign him and he's like, we got Newton. I'm like, you don't want this guy. I'm telling you, you don't want him because of his recent history with the injuries that he's had. Now, his shoulder is pretty much like it was toast. Because he can't throw deep anymore. That's the problem. His deep ball is not there anymore. If you remember one of his final years in Carolina, when his shoulder was so bad, but they kept him playing that, he could only throw 15 to 20 yards tops.
Right.
And that's actually what ended up killing his career because they let him play with an injured shoulder. He had that one awesome year as MVP, and then after that, he kind of went down.
I think that they kind of set him up for failure with him going to the Pats anyway. They had a pocket passer in Tom Brady, and they're getting a guy who, I mean, we all know scrambles. That's Cam Newton's thing, running out of the pocket, and I'm sure it's hard to switch up your game plan like that.
It can be hard, but the thing is when you're Cam Newton, you're going into a situation where you have a coach in Bill Belichick,
right?
Which people consider one of the greatest coaches of all time. If not the GOAT, he's up there as a coach.
Yeah.
So in a way, you're kind of thinking, well, maybe Belichick can solve his problems. But then you realize you can't. Like, as a starting quarterback, Newton's probably having one of the worst seasons ever as a starting quarterback. He's got 5 touchdown passes to like 10 interceptions. Horrible as a starting quarterback.
Yeah. I feel so stupid for thinking he'd be good. Like, whenever they signed the Pats, I mean, me too, I was like, like I said, they're going to be good. And nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right. So the next topic I want to touch on briefly, just really quick, I kind of want to get your insight that when we're looking at the AFC playoff picture, because of after the game tonight, the Raiders need help. So what 7 teams right now do you believe are going to represent the AFC in the playoffs?
Obviously the Chiefs, the Bills, the Steelers. I'm just going to get them out of the way. I think the Titans. Let's see. This is where it gets kind of rough. I think the Colts might be able to be a playoff team. And then I don't know right here who to take. I'm going to take the Raiders as one of the 6 or 7.
Wow. You're going to put them in there?
I think I'm going to put them in there.
So you're going to put them over the Dolphins?
I was getting ready to say the Dolphins, but it's kind of interchangeable. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know, 6 or 7. We'll see. I don't know.
Okay, so
I'm sure the Raiders will be 7.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I forgot about the Browns.
Yeah, I was going to say you cannot forget about the Browns, because with the Browns, they're that one team like Andrew asked about what wild card team could make noise in the playoffs. The Browns could, and the reason why I'm saying that the Browns could is because any team that faces them, the Browns have a deadly running game. They have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And if those two go off in a game, it's going to be very, very hard to stop the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I should have put the AFC standings in front of me before I did that. No. I cannot believe I forgot the Browns.
So the way I would see it going right now is if I had to put 7 teams in, obviously the Chiefs are in it. Right. So you got to go Chiefs. You got to go Steelers. You got to go Bills, because the Bills are going to be in it.
Yeah.
And then,
Browns.
Well, yeah, but you have to go with another division winner, and between the Colts and the Titans. At this point in time, if I had to pick a division winner, it's going to be the Colts. So your division winners that I've got predicted right now are going to be the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Bills, and the Colts. Those are my 4 division winners. And then when you look at the final 3 for wild card spots, what am I going to do? Well, I guess obviously I'm going to put in the Browns because they're going to be in it. Now, I truly believe that the Ravens are going to get in, because I feel like they're actually starting to get a little bit healthy again. They're getting healthy. I think they're going to start playing better. They just beat the Browns. So they're getting there. So I do have to put the Ravens in. So it's going to be Browns, Ravens, and then my final slot, man, it's hard because the final slot would have to come down between Tennessee, Miami, and Las Vegas. But I have to throw out Las Vegas. I'm saying they're done. They're out. So the final slot would come down between either the Dolphins or the Titans, with me having to give the slight nod to Tennessee because of Derrick Henry.
Okay. I was just making sure you were going to say that.
Oh, absolutely. Only because of Derrick Henry. That's the reason why I would give them a slight nod. So after looking at your playoff picture, do you still have those same 7 teams in there?
No. I'm going to redo mine. Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm going to take I'm just going to go with winners. I'm going to go Bills, Chiefs, Steelers, and I'm going to go the Titans over the Colts.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm going to put in the Browns, the Colts, obviously. And then I'm going to take the Dolphins over the Ravens is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Dolphins over the Ravens.
So let me ask you a question here. When you're saying that you're going to take Tennessee over Indianapolis, my question to you is how? How can you trust, and I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying how can you trust that Tennessee's defense? You have the you have the Indianapolis Colts, which has one of the best defenses in football. There's no way I can trust that Titans defense over the Colts defense. Now, there is pros and cons when you look at the Colts offense and pros and cons when you look at the Titans offense also. Obviously, their number one moneymaker on the Titans is Derrick Henry.
Right.
That offense is going to go as Derrick Henry goes. But when you look at the defensive side of the ball, how can you trust the Titans more?
I mean, I was just looking at their schedule. The Titans have the Lions, the Packers, and the Texans. The only game I think that might come close is the Packers, simply because of Aaron Rodgers. They're going to win those 2 games. Now, the Colts, they've got Texans, Steelers, Jags. I think the Steelers is going to be the team that could beat them. But the Colts, man, we got to remember, they lost to the Jags in week 1. I'm just going to put that out there. I know it's pretty irrelevant, but I think the Texans might be able to beat them.
Okay. Let me ask you a question here. Did you see what the Chicago Bears and a Mitch Trubisky-led offense did to Houston Texans last week?
I did. Yeah, but did you see did you watch week 1 when the Jags beat the Colts?
That was week 1, bro.
I don't care. I'm going to put it in there just because you never know. Okay, but my point is you never know.
I know it's any given Sunday, but I don't think that Houston is going to be that team that can step up and beat them. I don't think they are.
What about Pittsburgh? What do you think will happen there?
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a very, very good game. But if I had to, oh man, just based on, you got to look at the sides of the scopes here and think about what team has a better game. Is it the Pittsburgh Steelers or is it the Indianapolis Colts? The better.
You don't think Phillip Rivers can pass on that defense? You don't think he can?
I don't. Look, I've been a Phillip Rivers guy, which I've said he belongs in the Hall of Fame. I've said that for a long time. He's a very underrated quarterback. The Steelers defense is really, really good. He's got T.Y. Hilton, he can throw to him. He's got Pittman, he can throw to him. He's got Pascal, he can throw to him. But this Colts team, when you look at this Colts team, they're not based off the pass. They're based off the run. That's what they focus on first because they have a Taylor, they have a Hines, and then they have a Wilcox in the backfield too. So they kind of split carries there. So when you're looking at these 2 teams, I'm like, what team am I going to trust more on the offensive side? One thing that the Colts can do if they were to come out and beat the Steelers, what they could do is if they got that running game going, they can melt that clock. That's what they can do because of that running game.
Okay. I agree.
So if I had to give the nod right now by a slight margin, I would have to give it to the Colts.
I just think the Titans have an easier road because the Colts, I mean, I just feel like they've been consistent, but I mean, they're just, I don't know how to, they're too inconsistent for me. I just don't know what will happen in the Texans game. That's them and the Steelers. I think both of these teams more than likely will lose 1 game within the next 3. The Titans could beat the Packers. I mean, we don't know, but I think the Texans could beat the Colts.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll be flat out honest with you right now when people are talking about that Titans and Packers game, okay? When you look at this game could go either way. I'm telling you that now because, yeah, we have we're averaging the most points in football per game. We're sitting at 31.2 a game. That's our average. So we're right ahead of the Chiefs. But when you look at the defensive side of the ball, we're ranked, I think it's like 12th or 13th. However, we're good. We're able to stop the pass, but we're not very good at stopping the run.
And Derrick Henry is the running back for the Titans.
And so Derrick Henry is the running back for the Titans. That is the problem. Now, the last couple of weeks, we've done a better job with stopping the run, but we haven't faced somebody like Derrick Henry yet.
And, okay, so you're a Packers fan. Are you worried about this game?
Against the Titans? Absolutely. How could you not be? How could you not be?
That's a good point.
They have Derrick Henry. And over the last couple of years, we have shown that we cannot stop the run. So if you cannot stop the run and you got a Derrick Henry, you have to be worried.
I mean, if they give him 25 plus carries, I think the Titans could win this by 10. And Derrick Henry also has to come to play. I mean, all right, I'm just going to use the Colts games. Whenever Titans played the Colts twice and it's split. The Colts beat them 34-17, and Derrick Henry, I think, had like 20-something carries for like 100 yards. And then they played them the second time. The Titans beat them 45-26, and Derrick Henry had 3 touchdowns and like 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So my point here is if Derrick Henry can come to play, I think the Packers are going to lose. But if they can somewhat hold him to like maybe 100 yards, maybe they can pull it off. But, I mean, I don't know.
Here's why I believe it's going to be a shootout, though. Because when you look at the Tennessee's defense, like I said, their defense is not good. They do not have a good defense. And the way that Rodgers is playing right now, I feel like he can pick their defense apart. Now we can score points.
Yeah.
But it's going to come on the aspect of can we stop them from scoring points, especially in the running game. That's what it's going to boil down to. So I feel like it's going to be another one of those games to where it's going to come out and it's going to be a very, very high scoring shootout game. It's going to be like 34-31. It's going to be one of those type of games.
If we take quarterbacks, I'd take Aaron Rodgers over Tannehill any day of the week. I mean, so I'm just going to hope, as a Seahawks fan, I don't like the Packers. I'm just that it does not come down to the Titans needing to score 7 points with a minute and a half to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and trust me, and that is one thing that that I know people respect on the side of Rodgers for, because let's say, the game's tied and there's a minute and a half left and Tennessee just ties it. You're not going to want to leave a minute and a half left to give the ball to Rodgers with a minute and a half left.
Especially with this season, how it's going. He's playing insane.
You're not going to want to do that. So, to me, this game's going to probably come down to who has the ball last.
I'm excited to watch this one. I'm so hyped up for this now.
Yeah, but now remember, that's not till next week. So
I know.
But, no. I get that. But what I don't want people to do, especially like Green Bay fans or even the Packers themselves, I don't want them to overlook this coming weekend's game against Carolina and look ahead to Tennessee, because that can happen often.
Right.
You overlook.
Like the Panthers ran it close with the Chiefs, so maybe they run it close with the Packers. I think.
But that was also when Christian McCaffrey was healthy.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's not playing this weekend, is he?
No, he's not.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a pretty easy win. I mean, we'll see. You never know.
All right, and so now we touched on the AFC side. Now when we look at the NFC picture, who do you think's going in?
I'm going to go ahead and do my winners. I said this in Real Talk a few days ago. I think Washington wins the East. I think the Seahawks can win the West. The North, Packers probably. And then the South, I got the Saints still. And then I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Ooh.
And then, Buccaneers and then Vikings. That's what I'm going to go with.
That final slot for me has been the toughest one. I've been looking at those and I'm like, man, that slot is going to be tough because we know the Packers have clinched the North, so
Right.
they're in. So they are in. So you're going to have Green Bay in. You're going to have the Saints in because there's no way that the Saints are not going to make it. So the Saints are going to be in. Then you're going to have to look at the division winner from the West. And now the West is going to be interesting how this is going to finish because it's going to come down between Seattle and the Rams. It's tough, but just based off of defense, I have the Rams ahead of Seattle just based off of defense because that defense is vicious. They are good. So that's why I have the Rams there. So I've got Green Bay, New Orleans, LA, and then the other when you go to the NFC East, I said Washington, so I got to put Washington in there as number 4. And then when you look at your other 3, obviously one of them is going to be the Bucks.
Right.
You got to go with the Bucks. Okay. And then another one's going to be Seattle. And then that final slot is going to be the tough one because what Arizona team is going to show up for the rest of the year? What Minnesota team is going to show up?
Yeah.
So that final slot is like the one that's tough to me because do I want to put Minnesota in or do I want to put Arizona in? I don't know, man. It's tough. But if I had to pick right now, I would say that Arizona would probably make it in that 7th seed.
I say if Arizona can make the playoffs, they have the potential to make a run.
See, I've said this before that this is why Arizona is a scary team.
Yeah.
Arizona is a scary team because they are so inconsistent that for 3 consecutive weeks they could play bad, but then for 3 consecutive weeks they could play really, really good.
Yeah.
So when are they going to flip that switch to that 3 wins in a row game to where they start looking really, really good? Because it could happen anytime. And so that's why the Cardinals are one of those really, really scary teams that you really don't want to play because you don't know what Cardinals team you're going to get.
Yeah. I don't know. The West is where I'm watching. The East, it's a sorry division. So the West is really where I'm watching. I think the only reason the Seahawks would beat the Rams here is because of Jared Goff. He's just too inconsistent for me. He can either have 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, or 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the Seahawks offense, they're really good. Defense is terrible. So I'm worried about the defense. I'm not so worried about the offense. And then the same with the Rams, but flipped.
I mean, I feel you. I really feel you. So Dave Esparza is saying, I'm hoping they lose one of their next 3 and my Bears win out to get in the playoffs. But thing is, I don't think you want that to happen, Dave, really. I don't think you really do. Because with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles as your 2 quarterbacks, I really don't think you want that to happen because I don't think that they can compete with a lot of these teams that are going to be in the playoffs. So,
yeah. I would not. I would not even watch the game if I was a Bears fan.
All right, so final question, putting our biased opinions aside right now. If you had to make your prediction, who's going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl?
The Kansas City Chiefs. No question, period. I don't even have to.
So you see, you're instantly jumping to the Chiefs, but the funny thing is they might run into some tough matchups in the playoffs because I'll tell you, their previous games they have been playing, they've had 5 consecutive games to where they have only won by 6 points or less in 5 consecutive games. And that defense is not what you would call a stellar defense by any means. Their offense is good. Their offense is really, really good. But let's say they run into a good defense that's able to slow them down just a little bit, and that team's offense is able to muster up points. So let's say a team – I know last year they played Tennessee in the playoffs. Tennessee had a 14-0 lead, and Kansas City was able to come back and win that game. But if they're going up against somebody like Derrick Henry this year in the playoffs where their defense has been struggling, I don't know if they win that game, or even if they face a Buffalo Bills team. With the way that the Buffalo Bills are playing right now, the Buffalo Bills could come out and beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's the only team I'm worried about. Like, my prediction is the Bills, just because of Josh Allen. He's been playing so good, and he might. I think when they two play, it'll end up in a shootout between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and I'm taking Patrick Mahomes in that any day of the week. I mean, he's got more weapons, so I'm going to take the Chiefs. And that's
all right.
That's Patrick Mahomes. That's why.
All right, yeah, and we'll skip the NFC side because of the simple fact that you're a Seattle fan. I'm a Green Bay fan, so we know we're going to go on that.
I think the Packers will win it. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I hope Seattle wins, but I think the Packers will win.
All right, Dave, thank you for saying that. I love that comment. Mark Henry, I love that comment. So, Mark Henry. Yeah, so there's an inside joke to that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's just this inside joke that we got going. But thank you, Dave. That was great on that. Okay, so you've heard our predictions on the AFC side, because I actually, when I look at the AFC side, I'm actually going with Buffalo, man. I am. Like, that's my AFC side. Buffalo right now is killing it. They are one Hail Mary away from winning 7 consecutive games. One Hail Mary away.
I think the Chiefs are still better. I think the Chiefs are the best team in the league. I think the Chiefs will be the Packers, and the Chiefs will be the Super Bowl champions.
All right. Well, Landon, I want to thank you for hopping on tonight. It was great, and I hope everybody enjoyed our show. And so one last time, Landon, how does somebody win a free shirt if they want one of those shirts?
If they comment, share and follow our page, they can win Viewer of the Month and get the T-shirt. And if you don't want to do that, then you can, contact anybody from the ASAP network and buy one. Yeah, that's about it.
So I just read a comment on the side here that I'm like, Nate, I hope to God you were joking about this comment. Because why Broncos versus Cow? Are you kidding me? Broncos versus Cowboys. Wow. No way. Okay. So, all right. So with that being said, if they're not able to come on and comment, or it's too late and they're like, you know what, I still want one of those shirts, how can they get one of those shirts?
You can contact anybody from the ASAP network, and we can hook you up and get one. It's $14.99, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a T-shirt for $14.99 at any other network. Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. He will explain it to you. You will laugh, and it's really, really funny. So you will get a great kick out of the Mark Henry thing.
We'll see.
All right. Okay. So thank you, ASAP Sports viewers, for watching tonight. It's been another awesome show. Thank you, Landon. I am Ace, and I hope everybody has a fantastic night. And then tomorrow, don't forget that tomorrow is the debut of The Tip, which is featuring Landon, Freddie Henderson, Trey, and who we call Con Man Mike. So hop on tomorrow and watch the debut of The Tip. All right, everybody have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you next time on ASAP.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. They work in your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.